And let's put it on. All right, so today's lesson is titled Envy Not the Sinner. And I say it again, title is Envy Not the Sinner, right? So there are notes titled, oh wow, Envy Not the Sinner. Yeah. And I say it again, title is Envy. Let's close this. All right, we're good online. Sure. All right, so there is no shortages of temptations these days, and it seems as if no matter what provisions you can think of, there is somebody, or a perversion, should I say, you can think of, there's somebody into it. With such a broad path to destruction and so many flavors of sin, it can be hard to resist in the flesh, being the path into the kingdom is so narrow. In the world, we just partake in sin and don't care too much about the consequences. But in the truth, many think about the consequences and still desire to partake in sin. And this is the reality for some of us, right? The reality is this double-minded mentality is a common thing, and many fall from the truth because they envy the options that sinners have to partake in, being the path is broad. We must not forget the righteous reason we came to the truth, and also not forget that sinners will have their day of judgment. Now, I've been thinking about this for the last few weeks and whatnot. And remember, we were talking during I would say before, and I was about to say Good Friday. Thank God I didn't say that. Before the communion, before the Passover, right? And we were talking about one of the things Yeshaya told us to be careful of is the leaven of the Pharisees, right? And we looked on the fact that part of that leaven, I'm going to say part of that leaven, was the hypocrisy, right? So, one example I could think of is when Christ says how the Pharisees don't teach the weightier matters of the law. In fact, they were setting up things that, like, for instance, you could dishonor your parents and not receive punishment and pay a price to the Pharisees, so to speak. So they were setting up things that were against the law, right? It was like the law says to do this, and they would say to do this, or they were enforcing a law, and yet they weren't keeping the law to some degree, right? And I said, and I was thinking about this, for some time and whatnot, and I was saying, many of us, whether we know it or not, have done the same thing. We have partaken in that hypocrisy. Why? Why do I say that? Well, think about it. We know what the requirements are. We know the do's and the don'ts. But yet there's still things that we know we shouldn't do that we do. Isn't that not hypocrisy? So what we have to understand is that many of us, whether we know it, and this is the battle that we're trying to work, this is the fight between the inner man and walking in the spirit, is that we gotta, when it's all said and done, get rid of all hypocrisy when it comes to this gospel. That's really and truly this battle, getting rid of that double-mindedness. Because yes, we know the do's and the don'ts, and we agree that what the Most High has set up is righteous and it's perfect. Con? So part of that now is rooting out that double-mindedness that justifies the things we do against His law. That's the leaven that we have to get rid of, that now we could become that pure unleavened bread. So I don't know, as I said, maybe that's a little bit, I went a little bit far with that mind of thinking, but I was thinking about that. And I was saying, when Christ was telling the apostles or the disciples to beware of the leaven of the Pharisee, I think that's something we have to really take into consideration, because it's so easy in a world that fuels sin and the mindset of sin and success in sin, that we can get caught up in that same hypocrisy, right? But let's go into the lesson. Let's get Job 18, chapter 5. Chapter 18, sorry, verse 5. And we're gonna go straight to 21.
The book of Job, chapter 18, verse 5. Did they say Khan?
Khan.
All right. Job 18, verse 5. Yea, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. The gin shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against it. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way.
Right? So a snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Go on.
Verse 11. Terrors shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. It shall devour the strength of his skin. Even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. It shall dwell in his tabernacle, because it is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation. His roots shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off. His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street. He shall be driven from light into darkness, and chased out of the world. He shall neither have son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwelling. They that come after him shall be astonished at his day, as they that went before were affrighted. Surely such are the dwelling of the wicked, and this is the place for him that knoweth not the Most High.
Right? So at the end of all the conclusion or confusion, the wicked will be cast into a pit of destruction, never to be remembered again, along with their wicked generation. We have to keep these things in our minds before we get caught up on social media. And I'm just going to say media in general, which is designed to fuel sin and to fuel the desire to want things that are unfruitful. Too many people suffer from depression by following other people's lives online and their false realities that they profess to their followers. Now, the thing is, if these people were happy, or truly happy, should I say, with their lives, they wouldn't need followers to validate them, right? So, and we see this. I mean, it's crazy. I won't go into the show, but we live in a time now where how much people like your posts, how much people are following you, really show how important you are, right? For those that are especially caught up in this, the social, the celebrity, that type of outlet, should I say, it really matters. Why? Because in order to get people to follow you, they'll only follow you based on how much followers you have. To some degree, I remember even when I was in that music world and whatnot, people would actually buy or pay people to have fake followers. So you would pay, yeah, you can do this. You have guys, you know about that, right? You have guys that will actually, you pay them a money, and they'll, depending on how much you pay, they'll add 1,000 people claiming to follow you, and all these people are fake drone, like it's made up accounts, so to speak. But you can get 1,000 followers if you pay a price. So it's a false reality because some of the people you're following probably have paid to have fake followers. But you see what I'm trying to say? It's a false reality. And a lot of people, in order to build followers, pretty much have to, you know what I mean, go out of their way to create that social media, environment, community, right? But I want to go back up. Let's go back up for a second and let's go back in Job and let's get verse 8 to 10.
Job 18, verse 8. For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. The gin shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way.
Right? So the problem is with the sinners or those that don't understand the gospel or this world for what it really is that they don't understand the traps that the adversary has set up in this world for them to fall. So while they're in pursuit of fulfilling the lust of the flesh, whether it be riches, money, or whatnot, they're unaware of all the snares and the traps that the adversary has laid, and therefore fall into every trap because they're unaware of it, right? And we're gonna look at this some more, right? But let's go into this document, and then we're gonna watch a video, right? So what I'm saying, many of us before we came to the truth, we never understood the playing ground. All of us thought, hey, we all have a fair shot. You go to school, you become successful, money will change circumstances, but all of us at one time believed in this concept. Not to realize when we came to the truth, we understand that this was a false reality. The world that they told us was a false reality. But those that don't understand that truth get caught up throughout the snares of this world so easily. And a lot of times they get so caught up that they see no way to come out of it because they have built everything, their house, their income, their children, everything they have built being entangled in these snares, right? But let's get some research. And we looked at this last time, but let's look at it again, and then we'll see where the Spirit takes us, right? Well, let's go.
We have an article here from Forbes.com. It's study links heavy Facebook and social media usage to depression. Research links heavy Facebook and social media usage to depression. Researchers at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine recently conducted a study about the effects of social media habits on the moods of users. The research determined that the more time young adults use social media, the more likely they are to be depressed. The findings from this study could potentially help clinical professionals aid depressed patients. Compared against users that view social media less frequently, participants that use social media very frequently have 2.7 times the likelihood of depression. And compared to the people that spend less time, participants that spend the most total time on social media throughout the day had 1.7 times the risk of depression. The researchers also accounted for other possible factors of depression, including age, gender, race, relationship status, living conditions, education level, and household income in study.
right? So all this would play a factor in how far this depression would go, right? But nonetheless, depression was linked to heavy usage of, and it's Facebook here, but it's all social media, right? Because Instagram is on a whole new level with that, right? Go on.
It is possible that people who are depressed use social media to fill a void. According to lead author Liu Yiling, however, exposure to social media can cause depression, which leads to more social media usage.
Right? Go on. Sorry.
So, why would heavy social media usage cause depression? The exposure to highly idealized representation of peers on social media elicits feelings of envy and the distorted belief that others lead happier, more successful lives.
Right? So it leads through heavy access of Facebook, right? It leads one to believe that people are living happier lives because no one's posting sad. It's very, I'm not going to say, because you do have people that will, you know, post specific bad points in their life. Someone died, they'll post that, right? But majority of the posts are highlighting the best parts of life, right? So as you see more and more of this, you start to compare your life to the people on Facebook's life and say, hey, my life is not good. If you're single and all your friends on Facebook, or you see a lot of people getting married, you start saying, hey, what's going on with me? You see what I'm saying? So and that's why I said it's for the people that don't understand the gospel, they don't understand the snares. Because us who understand that, we know, okay, I'm not gonna covet here. I'm not gonna covet what someone else's has. That's their life. That's their life. I don't know what they had to do, or you know what I mean? The struggles, or in order to obtain that happiness, the sacrifices they had to make. But someone now who has no understanding of coveting and all of that now will have that spirit of depressed and saying, man, how do I get that? How do I live that life? Right? So you're constantly comparing yourself to others, not understanding that, as I said, when we looked at this last time, as I said, I know guys and people that will go to a store, will go to a car show, take a picture in the car, post it on Facebook, and be like, hey, this is me. I'm balling. Right? You have celebrities, and I don't want to say names, but you had Mr. 106 in Park. Well, that doesn't do any justice anyways. Right? But you had Bow Wow post a pitch that he's on first class when he was really flying a charter flight. You see what I'm saying? So it's like when you are part of it, it's like the peer pressure to sell that image allows people to lie, cheat, steal, do whatever in order to keep that image. Sure. In fact, there's more fear of not fulfilling that image than the fear it is of lying before the Most High. So we start to fall under the fear of man rather than the fear of the Most High, right? But let me read this. So there it is in the headline: for all to see, envy develops due to a disordered reality or distorted reality of what others may have at their disposal, as opposed to what the followers may have. Most people's lives are a lie, and the sooner we realize that, the better. Even in the truth, we struggle to get stuck we struggle to get sucked into the social media to the point where we get depressed and want what others have when all things claimed are corruptible, right? So even in the truth, sometimes we can struggle with this. Why? Because you're comparing the old man to the new man. And you're saying, well, with the old man, he got to feed the flesh. And you see your friends pretty much with no restraints to feed the flesh. And we know this journey, sometimes it gets rough, but there's a part of suffering that Christ had to go through. And we know no servant is above his master, that we have to go to. But many don't understand that part of the gospel in terms of the struggle and get the false reality of prosperity. So when it doesn't happen, it allows them now to go back and revert into the old man. And they'll leave the church and go back into the world. And we see these things, right? Another thing that we looked at last time, we looked at a report, a video. I added a different video this time. We looked at a video where 3 girls got into a dispute through social media. And I believe one of them, someone either ended up hurting someone or ended up killing somebody. Now, all these sisters were Israelites. That happened. And I'm saying this because I've witnessed this, where I see this myself, and it's Israel that I see this happen to more than, and maybe because I'm not affiliated with other groups so much on Facebook, but you'll have 3 sisters arguing about a post or a hairstyle or a fashion. No, I'm serious. You have these things happen. And then a person, oh, she not buy that. Or you know what I mean? You'll have the comments and then it turns into a dispute. And then this goes from Facebook to on the streets when I see that person and they're fighting on the road. And then you realize, say, hold on, this happened off a post off of Facebook. It went too far. But I'm saying these are the things that happen. And when you look at the culprits, you'll find social media was part of it, right? But let's get the next slide and let's get the clip, because we're going to look at this a little bit deeper as well. Next slide. Maybe it's freezing. Oh, there we go. Hold on. Go back. Is that video playing? I know today we tried it, so there we go. It's the computer. It's a little slow. Let's plug in the audio.
I had cars, a house, an incredible solid gold career. I still feel empty inside. I had everything. Even then, I was a millionaire. I had a beautiful woman in my life. I had cars, a house, an incredible solid gold career, and a picture. And yet, on a daily basis, I wanted to do.
As a people, we made it, and there was nothing to do. We had money, we had fame, and there was no joy.
The media told me every day, it's telling me every day what it is to be successful. So you got MTV cribs, you got billionaires in front of your face, you have these extrinsic, external goals that will say, oh, Tom Shadyac has arrived. He has the right house, the right car, he flies privately. And when I got there, it was empty.
I was successful in the music business, I was successful in modeling, in television, real estate. So I made all this money and I had all this success. And here I was going, okay, I feel really different. Y'all told that if we're beautiful, if we're skinny, if we're successful, famous, if we fit in, if everyone loves us, then we'll be happy. But that's not entirely true. I don't like wasting my time spending with shaking people's hands and smiling, doing selfies. Feels shallow, like this, I have a lot more to offer than I am. I don't like being used to make people money. I feel sad when I'm overworked and that I just become a money machine and that my passion and my creativity is the best shoot that makes me happy. If you are looking for things to define you, then you will never be happy. And you will always be searching for happiness and you will never find it in fame. I was surrounded by all this
wealth, and all this fame, and all this power, and yet they were all miserable, and I had never been more miserable. You know, I thought that all would be helped and healed and soothed by fame. Because when I get famous, I will be less lonely, and I will be understood, and I will be loved, and that love will go in and heal any of the broken hearts. And then I came to see that it was actually quite isolating.
Right, so health and fame. Well, let's pull that little feature.
In ourselves, how not to find who we are and what makes us happy.
I saw that if I wanted to live with myself.
All right, let's stop there. Let's get to the next slide. Now, what's the title of the lesson again? Envy not the sinner, right? So there's a reason why I looked at this. Because these are people that we can claim are successful. But yet, if you notice, none of them are really happy. Right? And they make it clear that their success didn't help to fuel their happiness. But what happens is that most of us never hear that side. So we see on TV through media, and the guy that was on TED Talk, he said it perfectly. He's like, hey, they bombard us with this whole ideal that success equals happiness. But what we don't understand, that I'm hoping that through this lesson we will see, is that really and truly, these people are no different than us who thought that we could one day be successful and make it in this world. See, they fell for the snares. And once they fell for the snares, because in order to sell this lie, you got to keep the lie going. So eventually they did it. And then what you notice is that they'll use them to recruit others into the snare. Because we look through TV, media, and all that and say, hey, I want to have a house like that. I want to be like that. I want to be part of that and whatnot, whatnot. And they start to recruit those that will do anything to obtain those things. So eventually, those people who they have on TV, rock stars, whatever, celebrities, whatnot, who we know them or they call them idols, right? To get the masses to idolize them, they now use them now to start bringing other people into this idolatry, into this way of thinking. And on again, it did what? This message or this way of thinking has reached the masses, has reached the whole world, where everyone has this false assumption that success will bring happiness. But the Bible tells us, what is it to gain the world and lose our soul? And a lot of these people have lost their souls in pursuit of what this world defines as happiness, as success. So I'm saying we got to now change our mindset now on what's success for us. Like, for instance, let me ask everyone in the congregation, what's success for us? That's it. Making it into the kingdom. That's the only success that should matter. But think about it. When we were looking to be successful in this world, what did we do? We did a lot. Whether it's schooling, whether it's sacrificing, whether it's chasing this, chasing that, doing this, losing sleep, without food. We did everything in pursuit of being successful. What should we do in order to make it in this kingdom, which is success beyond success, which should be our definition of success? We should be doing everything, whether it's losing sleep. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking of the drive that we had to pursue the things in the world in a time where we thought that would bring us success, that would bring us happiness. But now we realize that all that was a snare. All that was a trap in order to get caught up in either chasing it and being distracted throughout our whole lives and never yet pursuing being successful or rich, right? Because many have lost sleep. The Bible tells us many have lost sleep in pursuit of riches. Many have put themselves in all types of tribulations and troubles out of pursuit of riches. Right? So I'm saying, you know what I mean, that drive, that hunger that we once had for that should now change into that drive and hunger we have for the kingdom, because that's really and truly the only success that we should be looking after. Right? But let's continue. Let's get Psalms chapter 17.
We're going to keep things there, right?
Yeah.
In verse 17, it says, his remembrance shall perish from the earth.
Right? Right? So we know all of that. So many people getting entangled with that. There will be no remembrance of that vanity, of that lifestyle, of that success, right? It's really temporary. And then think about it. Hold on. Even think about it. After they use that person up, they kill them. Right? And then after, what happens? They find someone to take that place. Right? And then they sell you a false hope. Okay, well, you know, there'll never be another. We're looking for the next LeBron James. Oh, you know, all these, as I said, everything was set up in order to pursue, for someone else to pursue that image, right? That dream, when it's a false reality, right? Well, let's get Psalms.
Book of Psalms, chapter 17, verse 8. Gone? All right. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings, from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth they speak proudly. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Most High, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword, from men which are thy hand, O Most High, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life.
Which have their what?
Which have their portion in this life.
Go on.
And whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children. They leave the rest of their substance to their babes.
Go on.
As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness.
Right? So I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. Right? So when I conform and be just like your son, right? So the prophets realized these worldly nations were set up over us to chastise us and to have us eventually have those who desire to be righteous seek the Father once more. The wicked have children and are able to leave them an inheritance, and we envy them, but the truth is their seed is cursed and they are a burden to the earth. Right? So as I said, these are tools used against us that we can have an envy, a desire to have the same things they have. Right? But yet and truly, it's a snare. Let's get Psalms 19, 1 to 11.
Book of Psalms, chapter 19, verse 1. Khan? The heavens declare the glory of the Most High, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the ends of the world. In them had he set the tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it. And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. The law of the Most High is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Most High is sure, making the wise simple. The statutes of the Most High are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Most High is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Most High is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Most High are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward.
Right? So by the Most High's laws, we are warned so that we may avoid the judgment to come, and the world also has been warned. The Bible has been the #1 seller for decades, and still the world acts as if they have no knowledge of the Most High's statutes, right? Now, something that I found funny at times is that when we look at just nature itself, we can see that something divine had to kind of set everything up. Like, for instance, who instructed the birds to migrate? Who told the trees to shed their leaves at a point in time of the year? You know what I mean? Like, who? When you look at nature in itself, everything is governed by law. So if you look at the creation and see everything governed by a law, then what's the law for mankind? You see what I'm saying? It's so, when we simplify things, it's right in front of our faces.
Yes, sir.
Man will look at the sun now, see the sun do his thing, but yet every appointed time, the sun has to go sleep.
Yep.
But yet they'll worship the sun. You see what I'm saying? And it's crazy, because I'm like, okay, well, who's telling the sun to go sleep and the moon to come out? I want to deal with him. But no, they will look at creation and worship the creation and pay reverence to what's created rather than the creator. And it's like, if you just look at nature in itself, you can see the Most High's work, right? Let's get Luke chapter 21, verse 34.
Book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 34. You say, Khan? Yeah, all right. Luke chapter 21, verse 34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with suffering, with satiety, and drunkenness, and the cares of this life.
And the cares of this life. Go on.
And so that they come upon you unawares.
Go on.
For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man.
Right? So when we look to party amongst the lawless, judgment will come upon you in a time you are unaware and are not expecting it, because your mind is only focused on wickedness, on fulfilling the lust of the flesh. If you look to escape the harsh things which shall come upon the wicked, you must be diligent, right? And that's the importance of us being sober-minded, right? And understanding that when we come to the truth, it's really a process of us separating ourselves from the world, right? And it's a challenge, because that includes friends, families, and whatnot, where you have to now operate and be that light for them. Am I saying to do, like, you know what I mean? Not discontinue from them. I'm trying, get out of the, discontinue from them. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's where we have to now establish and be that light for them in order to bring them to the light, right? Sometimes with that double-tonguedness or double-mindedness, we want to partake in Satan's table and in the Most High's table. And we can't do that because eventually one of the masters are going to pull us, whether it be more entangled in the world or more entangled in the gospel, but we can't do both, right? Let's continue. Let's get Psalms 22.
Book of Psalms, chapter 22, verse 27. Did they say come? All right. Psalm chapter 22, verse 27. All the ends of the world shall remember and turn unto the Most High, and all the kindreds of the nations shall worship before thee. For the kingdom is the Most High's, and he is the governor among the nations. All they that be fat upon the earth shall eat and worship. All they that go down to the dust shall bow before him, and none can keep alive his own soul. A seed shall serve him. It shall be accounted to the Most High for a generation. They shall come and shall declare his righteousness unto the people that shall be born, that he has done this.
Right, so at the end of it all the confusion, we must remember that Yeshua shall rule this earth under the Father. Right, now this is key. Me just reading it, I don't think that really sheds light on this, right? Because if we understand that with Christ comes dominion, comes rulership, beyond what any of us could ever imagine, why are we still chasing the world? Especially a world that we know is dying, that's perishing. Babylon is falling. So why do we still chase it when it's a kingdom that's pretty much is on its last legs, right? There is no other being besides the Father that controls whether you live or die. He will set up his son to rule over the world, and there is no one who can stop this from happening, right? So whether the world knows it or not, all dominion will be brought under Yeshua Christ, right? Let's get Psalm chapter 49.
Book of Psalms, chapter 49, verse 1. You there? Khan? All right. Hear this, all ye people. Give ear, all ye inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor, together. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. I will incline my ear to a parable. I will open my dark sayings upon the heart. Wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my heels shall compass me about? They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother,
Go on.
nor give to the Most High a ransom for him.
Go on.
For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it chaseth forever, and it ceaseth, and it ceaseth forever, that he should still live forever, and not see corruption. For he seeth that wise man die, likewise the fool and the brutish person perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever.
Right, so a lot of the elites and the rich and whatnot believe through their finances, through their riches, through what they have obtained in this world, that they will live through their children. They will live on forever. Go on.
Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever,
Go on.
and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names.
Go on.
Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. He is like the beast that perisheth. This their way is their folly. Yet the posterity approve their saying, Selah. Like sheep they are led in the grave. Death shall feed on them, and the upright shall have dominion over them in the morning, and their beauty shall consume in the grave from their dwelling.
Now, who are these? These are all they who trusted in riches, who got entangled in the snare of what this world defines as success and the pursuit of that, right? So we idolize the so-called elites and desire the things that they have and try to live a life that was never meant for us in order to obtain those things. Their possessions are cursed, and so are all those who covet after those things. It's time for us to wake up. Let's get Psalm 73.
Book of Psalms chapter 73 verse 1. We there? All right. Psalms chapter 73 verse 1. Truly the Most High is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart. But as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped. For I was envious at the foolish.
He was what?
For I was envious at the foolish.
Go on.
When I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no bands in their debt, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence covered them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than their heart could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth.
Right? So in their eyes, being poor is a disgust. In some cases, the poor should not even be in their presence. Go on.
Verse 10. Therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. And they say, how doeth the Most High know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world.
Who do what?
Who prosper in the world.
Go on.
They increase in riches. Verily, I have cleansed my heart in vain, and washed my hands in innocency. Verse 14. For all the day long have I been plagued, and chastened every morning. If I say, I will speak thus, behold, I should offend against the generation of thy children. When I thought to know this, it was too painful for me, until I went into the sanctuary of the Most High. Then I understood their end.
Right? So then he understood their end. But a lot of times, even for myself, we once believed in and envied that and wanted that for ourselves. What the rich had, what the elite had. And we believed in that. And I said, you know what? Maybe if I do that and this and that, I will be that. I know for me and my generation, the people we idolized that sometimes was very crazy because we would idolize all the gangsters.
Yeah.
So it would be, you know, the fat cat. Like when you look at some of these guys, these are guys in the 80s. And my group, we used to idolize these guys and say, I want to be the biggest El Chapo ever and all these different guys. And Scarface, I'm glad you touched on that, because even that movie was used as a tool. Because when Scarface was shown in the 80s, the uprise of drug-related crimes and murders went through the roof. Because everyone wanted to be Scarface. Everyone wanted to live that image. The world is yours. So, you know what I mean? I'm looking at that, and the more, and I say all praise to the Most High, because He has opened my eyes to this. I've seen so many different people who accomplished some of those things that I had as goals of success. And I've seen many empires crumble. And once I understood that, and once I started getting the Bible and hear the Bible talk about this, and I started to see that and realize that, hey, without the Most High, any venture we do will not stand. It will all crumble. And the more I started to see that and see it around my friends, see it amongst people that I once idolized, I understood their end. I understood that without the Father, riches, prosperity, life, death, poverty, riches, all that comes from the Most High. I need to start focusing on the Most High. But it's once I understood their end, their judgment, that there's no longevity in unrighteous gain. Once I understood that, I stopped coveting after that lifestyle. I've stopped coveting after, like, even with the music thing. I remember some of the guys that I idolized to some degree as artists that one day I wanted to be like, and hearing some of the rituals they had to partake in. You know what I mean? Some of the sodomy and all of that. That alone, I was like, okay, well, if I do it, I'll be local. I'll be, you know what I mean? Because it's the ones that make it to the top that are really involved in these things. Those that just want to make it through life stay on this level, so to speak, right? But most of us, we want to make it to the top, right? So we get caught up in those snares, right? Well, let me read this. So it took the reality of the word and the Most High's judgment to break this envying of the wicked in this case. The word provides us with the wisdom to see through Satan's tricks, which have been the same from generation or for generations. Yet even in the truth, we ignore the word and allow Satan to do the same things to us continuously. Right? But it's always been there. He sells you the false hope. We chase after it, and not understanding that through that process we begin to lose our souls. Right? Let's get Isaiah chapter 13, 11 to 12.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 13, verse 11. Right there, Sikhan? All right. Isaiah 13, verse 11. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible.
Right? So all those that are high-minded, who have gained comfort in their riches and in their possessions, and that high-mindedness way of thinking, they will be brought down low. Right? Go on.
I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the gold wedge of Ophir. Therefore, I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, in the wrath of the Most High Power of hosts, in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chase roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. There shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. Every one that is found shall be thrust through. Every one that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword.
Everyone that is joined onto them. So everyone who's part of this beast system, of this way of thinking, of this ideology, of this world, being one with the world, or being something or gaining something in this world, will be thrust through, will be punished. Judgment. Go on.
Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes.
Go on.
Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children, and Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right. Now we know that the Medes have started preparing their arrows. Right. So we know we're within this time period, so to speak, right? Where he's stirring up the Medes. Go on.
Verse 20. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there.
Right? So if we make the mistake of joining ourselves spiritually with the beast system and Babylon, we will eventually fall by the sword. We must begin to purify our thoughts and learn again before the judgment is far close. Because, the judgment is far closer than when we first heard the warnings, right? And it's clear time is running out. Time is, depending on how you look at it, time is either on your side or not on your side, right? As a nation, we want things to play out, so to speak, right? But we know without reaching that mark, we're in way of the judgment. We could possibly fall into the category of judgment without meeting that mark, which is Christ, right? Being more like Christ, fully conquering the old man that we once were. Let's get Isaiah chapter 14.
Book of Isaiah chapter 14, verse 21. Yeah? All right. Isaiah 14, verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saith the Most High of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith the Most High. I will also make it a possession for the bitterns and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Most High of hosts. The Most High of hosts hath sworn, saying, surely I have taught, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand.
So shall it stand. So we know these words in this Bible. Everything that was prophesied will stand. Right? So with us standing that, it's time for us to wake up out of this delusion, because Babylon is already done. Now, anyone with what was it, Wednesday we had a big win? And you see like bricks are falling and whatnot. Anyone see, you guys saw the news reports or whatnot? I'm looking at that and I'm like, this place is falling apart. Can you imagine a townhouse complex and all the bricks just fall down? I was like, wow, right? But I mean, it's clear. We see society, Babylon in itself is falling. It's falling, right? Let's continue. Let's get Isaiah chapter 64, 4 to 8.
The book of Isaiah chapter 64, verse 4. We're there? All right. Isaiah 64, verse 4. For since the beginning of the world, men have not heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither had the eye seen, O Most High, beside thee, what he had prepared for him that waited for him.
Right? So it's even what's been prepared for us since the beginning is it's far beyond our comprehension, farther than we can ever imagine. Go on.
Thou meetest him that rejoiceth and worketh righteousness. Those that remember thee in thy ways, behold, thou art wrought, for we have sinned. In those is continence, and we shall be saved. But we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags. And we all do fade as a leaf, and our iniquities, like the wind, have taken us away. And there is none that calleth upon thy name, and stirreth up himself to take hold of thee. For thou hast hid thy face from us, and hast consumed us because of our iniquities. But now, O Most High, thou art our Father. We are clay, and thou art a potter, and we all are the work of thy hand.
We are the work of the Most High's hands, right? And it just, just even just reading this just shows us how merciful the Most High is with us. Because all our righteousness in the eyes of the Most High is like a filthy rag. But yet he knows that we are his inheritance, and he has made it his job through his son to remold us, to bring us back, right? So we have an eternal kingdom to obtain that our imagination cannot even perceive. Yet we look to obtain all manners of confusion, which are wasteful and are unfruitful in matters of eternal life. Right? Now, I mean, think about it. Can you imagine a tree that sheds leaves, at different leaves 12 months of the year, that we could live off of and be healthy off of? Can you imagine water coming out of Zion and watering pretty much the whole known earth? There's things when you read about what's to come that's like, wow. You know what I mean? Some of the fruits alone have me. You know what I mean? Off of one grape, I want some of that wine. But let me not talk about wine, right? But as I said, when we start to get more in tune with the kingdom to come, really and truly, you start to understand why when Enoch and the rest of them saw it, they were like, I want to be there. Don't even bring me back to the earth. Because what's prepared, as I said, it's far beyond than anything we can imagine, anything we desired, anything that's been perceived or been shown to us in this earth, in this kingdom, right? Let's get Matthew chapter 4, 8 to 11.
Book of Matthew chapter 4, verse 8. We're there? All right, family. Matthew chapter 4, verse 8. Again, the devil taketh him up unto an exceedingly high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then saith Yeshua unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Most High thy power, and him only shalt thou serve. Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him.
Right, now we know this verse or these verses very well, right? Now in some of the texts, you'll find that it says that Satan showed him all the kingdoms to ever be. So Christ saw it all, even this kingdom that we're here and sometimes lust after, so to speak, and yet rejected it. Just to show you the shoes that we, in terms of following after Christ, the shoes that we have to fill. That we got to be able to reject everything this kingdom has to offer us. That is that is not what the Most High ordained for us, should I say, right? But if you notice, the game and the tactics the same. It's the same thing. What did Satan do? He said, okay, let me show him the lust of the eyes. Let me show him all the blings and the niceness of this world that my kingdoms have to offer. See, whether we know it or not, it's the same thing. Instead of him taking us personally now, well, you just put a box in your living room and said, hey, I'll show you the world off of this. And many of us, no matter what part of the world we were in, saw something on that box or some form of media that made us now say, okay, let's go pursue after it. You see what I'm saying? So he doesn't have to no more bring us up on that pinnacle and say, hey, here it all is. Pick what you like. What you on that kingdom, you on that piece of this kingdom here? No more. He just shows us through media. And we lust after the world and want our little lot in it. Not knowing that it's a lot was never meant to last. Right? Another thing that happens with some of the celebrities, especially, you know, is they use the tax man. So like they set up fame to a point where at any minute you could fall from it. Right? So what happens now? They make money. All these people hire accountants, but yet somewhere along, the accountant probably never did what he was, and then now they're dealing with tax fraud. Right? And then they lose their house, their possessions, their property, and they're back to square one. Right? And if it's not that, then it's legal. It's other legal issues. It's trying to fulfill a lifestyle. Like, for instance, you know, I hate to use this saying, more money, more problems. Don't really want to use that saying, but the reality is the reality. Because what happens sometimes when we start to gain these things of the world without any moral compass is that our lifestyle changes. So we want to partake in every event, everything. So now the way of your living, the price of living goes up. And now you can't sustain that house payment, this payment, that whatnot. And then it's pulled from you. And then it's back to square one, so to speak, right? So I'm just saying it's a delusion. You'll find that this has happened to many people, right? Let's continue though. Let's get Matthew chapter 5 and 11 to 19. And we got one more. No, we got one more.
We're in Matthew chapter 5, verse 11. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under the foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, not one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men, so he shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven.
Right? So without those that speak the truth of Christ and the law of the Most High, the world would be darkness. If we all envy the sinners, then where would the light go? Somebody has to be brave enough to stand firm until the end so that all generations have their opportunity for the truth, right? So we have to understand that us being called by Christ, by the Most High, that we have a requirement or a duty to be the light. Now, if we start now following those in the world in pursuit of what we see or what this world tells us is success, the celebrities and all of that, you know what I mean? That whole thought process. Are we being the light? No. Because the light was made to be what? To be separate from the darkness. Now we know the world is filled with what? With darkness. So we have a requirement and a duty to stand firm as what we know of what it is of being a light, being the light, being a representative of the kingdom, of the gospel, keeping the laws, the statutes, the importance of baptism. That's our job. And once the world loses that, in fact, they're doing everything to stomp out the light. Right? Going back to Albert Pike's plan, his plan is to annihilate Christianity and bring the full doctrine of Lucifer. So they have every means, their end goal is to eliminate the light of this world. Let us not fall victim to media, not understanding it is a tactic to help to eliminate that light from the world. Right? In terms of what I'm trying to say is, let us now, instead of becoming rich in this world, now start focus on being rich in heaven, rich with the Father, right? Let's get Matthew 13, 18 to 23.
Book of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 18. We there? Matthew 13, verse 18. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom, and understandeth not, then cometh the wicked one, and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which receives seed by the wayside. But he that receives seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. Yet had he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation and persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. He also that receiveth seed among thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful.
Right? So read that again, Hannah.
Verse 22. He also that receives seed among thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches.
Right? So the care of this world, success, what this world claims to be life, all of that starts to set in and eventually chokes out the word that was planted. Go on.
And the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. But he that receives seed unto good ground is he that heareth the word, and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth, some an hundredfold, some 60, some 30.
Right? So we must go out. We must go out as we are commanded and bear fruit. Offenses come and go, but at the end of the day, we must hang in there until the end. One body, one mission, one Father, of all, who shows us the way in mercy and love. Never forget that never forget to endure in this world until the end. Right? That being said, does anyone have any questions regarding, or even any statements regarding on what we just went into? Sure, Brother Brian.
Matthew 5 and 18.
Matthew 5 and 18.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled.
That's what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm just saying that statement there says that the law is not done either.
Yeah. Yeah. Any? Sure. Brother Shemaine? John 15 and 18.
In John chapter 15, verse 18. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. But if ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they keep my sayings, they will keep yours also.
Right? Thank you for that, right? Because the more the world loves us, and we have, you know what I mean, the followers that are part of this world following us and whatnot, it's really the more we start to separate ourselves from the Father. We got to be careful of that. Definitely have to be careful of that, right? Anyone else? I'll take a few more and then we'll go straight into the announcements. And I know there's a few other things. Right there. First John.
You know, we see them prosper in this world and everything, right? And it shows us that, no matter what we're going through, those were kind of judges. And you were getting at what we're receiving. We know this world has nothing to offer us.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
So this sums it up here. I think you read it most time, but technically this just sums everything up. Everything up on this verse.
All right, let's go there.
1 John chapter 2, verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever.
Khan, that's right on the money right there, bro. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There's nothing in this world that will offer that we're not going to receive that a million times over in the other world. So I'd rather suffer now and go through my little problems right now and then receive what we're promised to have. Than to live our life alone and suffer for eternity.
And suffer for eternity. Like the rich man.
So everybody should examine themselves and really choose that conscious decision, like, do I want this world or another world? Do I want to suffer in this one or do I want to suffer in eternity?
Yeah, right? But and just to even go a little further with that, when we suffer, I mean, put it like this, right? Because Matthew chapter 6 tells us that when we look at the animals, the Most High provides for them, right? And how much greater are we than the animals? So really and truly, if we follow and make that the kingdom our priority, the Most High will give us what we need. The suffering part, and it is part of the game, but I think a lot of times the suffering is the fact that we're so used to having the abundance of things. So now it's like when we start to take away, coming to the word, some of the luxuries that we're so accustomed to are stripped from us, we look like we're suffering. But yeah, you have clothes, you still have clothes, you still have food, you still have shelter. You're good. You see what I'm saying? So even though we do, there's other elements that we will still be talked about. We'll still, eventually society will come against us, and that's the part of suffering. But a lot of the suffering that we're currently going through is really a mental thing. It's a mental thing, right? Thank you for that, brother. Thank you so much for that. Right? Anyone else? I'll take one. I'll take two more, and then I'll take one more. I'll take one more. Anybody?
Okay.
Bro, yeah, you got
I
something?
just had a scripture here in Revelation. The Most I just, Spirit just asked me to read this, and this is according to what Brother Dickens Zerai was saying, about when we have this work stored up, we look forward to that kingdom to come. You know what I'm saying? I'm in Revelation chapter 3, verse 8.
Hold on, let me go to it.
Yeah,
Put this away.
Can't put away this.
Can't put away this way. Revelation
chapter 3, verse 8.
Wow.
And we're gonna go on down to 11, 8 to 11. Right.
Go on.
Say, I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee, because thou hast kept my word. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So this is the hour of temptation that we're in before we know our Lord and Savior come in, right? So, right, and just to go on, he says, behold, I come quickly. Hold fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown.
Go to 2 and 9 now, please.
Go to 9. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9.
Go ahead.
He said, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich.
But thou art what?
But thou art rich.
And this is something we always have to remind ourselves. So the Father sees our tribulations, our poverty, but we are rich. We have a richness that is beyond this world. So even so, I'm saying with that, we got to start holding up our heads high because we're rich. Not haughty though, not high-mindedness, but just know we are rich, right? Sure. Go on. 6 and 33. Yes, sir. And we'll close off here, I guess. 6 and 33.
Matthew 6, verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of Ahia and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought of the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof.
Right? So thank you for that. Thank you, brothers. Thank you, everyone, actually. Let's get into the announcements, though. All right, so prayer requests. For those that are wondering how to submit a prayer request, you can do it online, or we have the prayer box over there by Brother Chris. But let's get the prayer request for this week. So let's continue to pray for Sister Angela with her long-term disability and health issues. So let's continue to keep her in our prayers. We probably have to do an anointing and you know, we'll talk about that, all right? So let's keep Sister Angela in our prayers. Lucine? Okay. Let's pray for sister, I'm just gonna say Sister Lucine in Haiti, who's suffering from high blood pressure, diabetes, and stomach acids. So let's keep her in our prayers. Let's pray for Sister Tahira's cousin in, her name is Pamela, sorry. Pamela Thomas in Jamaica, who is battling with kidney problems. Also, we want to pray for Sister Deborah Cummins, also in Jamaica, who has been recently diagnosed with leukemia.
Yeah.
Is there more? So we want to keep these people in our prayers, please, throughout the week. This week we have our Bible study on Google Meets. For those that want to be part of it, that are not part of it, speak to myself or Brother Rob. That way we can get you on the email list. But that will be this Tuesday, April 10th, 7:30 to 8:30. Let's get the next one. And hold on, we have one more announcement. We have two more announcements. We're gonna have Sister Tanya come up, but before that, I was asked to do a dedication for the children, an anointing, so to speak, and whatnot. Right now, what I would like to do is all the newborns, basically, or young. I want to deal with the babies, right? We want to set a week aside where we can actually anoint them and bless them. You know what I mean? We want to have a time to do this. I was thinking of what the next 2 weeks. I don't know, next week. Let's do 2 weeks. That way we can get everyone, we can inform everyone and have everyone prepare and take that time to make sure that they'll be able to bring the young children, right? So we're gonna do that. Let's set a time 2 weeks. So that would be what? Let's get that. That will be the 21st of April. We'll do dedications of the babies, right? Or anointing. I don't want to use these two. Yeah. We'll do anointing of the babies, right? So please mark that. Anyone else who's not here, inform them and whatnot, and we'll make that happen. And Sister Tanya, I can get you to come up here. And she just wanted to share with you guys a few things. Yeah, you have the questions.
Yeah.
Shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom.
Hope everyone had a blessed week. Just here, I know we had a Passover celebration 2 weeks ago. I wanted to do this last week. A few of you weren't here, so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to be here. So that one, I think, is an opportunity to be here. So, great.
You can do it.
So thank you, brothers, for an absolutely wonderful lesson. We need that as we go through our weeks and the trials that we face each and every day.
Thank you, sis.
So I know just the 2 weeks has already gone. However, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge our brothers and sisters that were responsible for such an awesome Passover celebration. At this time, I would like anyone who had anything to do with their Passover in any way, shape, or form, just to please stand for a moment. Please don't be shy. It's all in favor of the Most High. In any way, shape, or form, planning, organizing, or executing that very special month. Keep saying. On behalf of the body, I would like to say thank you for such a blessed night. All praises to Ohio for Giving you the will to carry through. It was definitely a night to remember for years to come. The pressure is definitely on for Passovers to come, so gotta start planning. Most High willing that is. My daughter was asked, "Did you have fun?" And her response was, "Yes, it was the best Passover ever." For a child to have that type of reaction, you know the Most High was with us. As Mama Jackie was so very adamant regarding us acknowledging the song Stronger, let us keep that very momentum as a body, a family, through all its trials, and remember, we are definitely stronger together. And thank you all so very much. We definitely appreciate it. We had an amazing time, and we can't thank you. We can't thank you enough, but thank you.
All praises to the Most High, right? At this time, let's get our closeout song. I think I turned off the mic. Okay, let's get our closeout song. Hold on, bro. All right, let's give him a round of applause too. Right? It's not an easy job what Brother Chris does. I tell you that. Mama V, yeah? Yes. So yes. For those that probably that are part of the Passover committee, we will be having a meeting, debriefing regarding Passover. We're gonna have that pretty much after we break, right? So don't get lost. We'll meet up over there on the side right there, and we'll have a quick meeting and probably in the front room or somewhere, right? That being said, let's get our closing out song. And let me make sure I'm in eye contact.
Draw me close to you. Never let me go. I lay it all down again to hear you say that I'm not. You are my desire. No one else will do. Nothing else can take this place. To feel the warmth of your embrace. Help me find my way. Bring me back to you. You're all I want. You're all I ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are near. Draw me close
Never let me go. I lay it all down again to hear you say that I'm your friend. You are my desire. Oh, Father, no one else can do. There's nothing else could take your place. To feel the warmth of your embrace. Help me find my way. Bring me back to you. You're all I want. You're all I ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are near. You're all I want. You're all I ever needed. You're all I want. Help me know you are near. Help me
All praise to the Father. All praises. Let's pray on now, and let us enjoy the rest of the Sabbath day. Right?